This is Walter Cockeyed, here to introduce yet another edition of the Joe Bev Experience, with his special guest, Diana-Canova, talking about her mother, Judy Canova. Diana-Canova can be heard delightfully reading Singing in the Corn, the audiobook of the biography of her mother, Judy Canova, written by Ben Omart, produced by Waterlog Productions, and distributed by Blackstone Audio. You can get the book or the audiobook at bearmanormedia.com and waterlogwith2gs.com, as well as Amazon, Audible, and all fine online vendors. Judy Canova was a popular American comedian, actress, singer, and radio personality. She appeared on Broadway, radio, and in films. The popularity of the Canova family led to numerous performances on radio in the 1930s. During her career, Judy Canova recorded for the RCA Victor label and appeared in more than 24 Hollywood films. In 1943, she began her own radio program, The Judy Canova Show, that ran for 12 years, until 1955. Diana-Canova is the daughter of Judy Canova and a successful actress in her own right, best known for her role as Corinne Tate on ABC TV's Soap. And now, without further ado, here is Joe Bevilacqua and Lorie Kellogg talking with their guest, Diana-Canova, already in progress. This is Walter Cockeyed, and that's the way it is.
Welcome, Diana-Canova. We are so happy to be here with you, Lorie Kellogg and Joe Bevilacqua. And, gosh, we're going to talk about all sorts of things, but the first thing I want to know is, what was your childhood like?
Well, actually, it's, when you have no other point of reference, my childhood was pretty normal growing up. Except for the fact that I had a mother who was in show business. My dad was from Cuba. So for the first few years of my life, until unfortunately they got divorced, there was a lot of music in the house. Well, there was always music in the house. In our family, everybody played piano. Everybody sang. My dad was a musician, and he was a Cuban musician, which is kind of reminiscent of Lucy and Desi when they were friends of theirs. So it was, I guess, different from some and maybe very common in other households. You know what I mean?
Right, sure.
My mom was on the road periodically doing fairs and stuff by the time I came along. I was raised in Hollywood, in the Hollywood Hills. I went to Hollywood High School. And as I said, since there was always music in the house and we were always, and I was singing from the time I was a kid, and we all had to learn how to play piano. So I was always interested in music and always interested in theater. So I was always doing plays and I was always singing. And at home, that was just normal. It was a very musical household.
Right. So what age were you when you realized that your mom had people who knew her that were strangers, that she was famous?
Well, probably when I was around 5. I would see her films, and I remember actually, I can't remember how old I was, maybe 6 or 7, and she had done an episode of Alfred Hitchcock where she gets killed in the end, and they let me watch it, and it was so disturbing to me. It really
wow.
disturbed me for many years. But
sorry, I'm laughing. I'm sorry.
No, it's so funny. It was like, oh my God, this is so scary. But it was, for me, it was normal. We always had a pretty large family, my mom's sister and her brother and my cousins, and so every holiday there were a lot of people there and everybody played an instrument. For me it was just, I grew up in a house in the Hollywood Hills, basically. Once my parents got divorced, I was still in the house in the Hollywood Hills, just didn't have my dad around. It pretty much continued. In the 50s and early 60s, what was kind of funny was that I think it was either every Friday or Saturday night, there was always a poker game and martinis. And that was very much the, kind of like the Mad Men period, and so everybody would come over for poker and pictures of martinis. And I remember that vividly.
See, I guess that sounds like my family. It really, honestly, they met for poker like once a week.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Aunts and uncles and cousins and us and everybody, yeah. Yeah.
Right. Same thing with me.
Yeah, that was like, from the late 50s through the mid 60s, they were really into it.
Yeah. It was kind of a cool period, actually.
It was kind of a hillbilly rat pack at your house, though.
Yeah, right. Yeah, my mom would take great offense to that, actually. Because that when the pigtails came off, she was.
Yeah, I would imagine. Sure, that's right. Well, that's the external view of what she was doing, but she kind of invented that style.
Totally. Yeah, she and her sister and two brothers, they got all of their material from the Ozarks. They would go up to, because they were raised in Jacksonville and Stark, Florida, and it gets hot. So they would go into the mountains in the summer times, and that's where they would learn all of those songs. And then when they brought it up to vaudeville, and they were doing 8 shows a day, it was incredibly popular because nobody had ever seen that before.
Did she study with any old timers of name?
Yeah. I mean, that's what they got it right from the horse's mouth.
She was working with her family before she became famous on her own, right? I mean,
exactly. Yeah, they were together. They were doing vaudeville, and she was just a kid, really. And then she was picked out of the group to go to Hollywood and make films. And then she pretty much brought her family with her for as long as she could. Her sister was her arranger. I still have all the charts, these incredible antique, charts for all of her orchestrations and stuff. It was because my aunt was an incredible pianist, as had my grandmother. My grandmother had been an incredible ragtime pianist, and my mom actually was an incredible pianist. Between the three of them, there was a lot of piano playing going on. So she brought her siblings with her and tried to keep them with her as long as she could. But she was the star of the family, basically. Yeah,
that's right. But that was nice, though, because in some cases that's not always the case in families.
No, I know. No, she really tried to be able to support them for as long as she could.
So now you missed like the radio days, right? Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, because my mom and dad met in 48, 49, around there, and that's when she was doing her radio show. My sister, on the other hand, who's older than I am, she was there for the whole radio situation, and that must have been, that was something else. I've got the albums. They made an album of a bunch of the routines, and the cast was incredible with Mel Blanc and Verna Felton and Joe Kearns and Sheldon Leonard, Ruby Dandridge. I mean, it was incredible, and I still have all of the scripts, and sometimes I'll just take one out and look at it and see who was guesting that week, and it would be Jimmy Durante, or the list was crazy. It must have been such a blast.
What a treasure trove.
That's extraordinary. That's great. See, we love all the old comedians, and your mom's radio shows are some of my favorites.
Oh yeah, it was great stuff. Really funny and
absolutely
totally cornball, but totally innocent and wonderful, and it was boy, was it a different time. I just loved all the old radio comedies. I thought they were so great.
Well, they still have a following, on the Bear Manor Radio Network that I'm running for Ben Momart now. We're playing a lot of the stuff, including we're going to play some of your mom's shows.
Great. That's great to hear.
So your sister got to be in a movie with your mom, I see on YouTube.
Yeah, she did. She and my cousin The two of them were in Whack from Walla Walla.
Lay That Rifle Down.
Yeah, we're looking at a picture of it.
Was that your sister or your cousin in Lay That Rifle Down?
That's a good question. I don't know.
She had a nickname.
Oh, then it was my sister. My sister's nickname is Tweenie.
It's your classic 50s comedy.
Yeah. I took my son, my older son, Matt, who's now 31. He just got married this past weekend.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you. This is a few years ago, they had a film festival for my mom in New York City, and I took him. My younger son was, I guess, in college, so he couldn't come down, but my older son, who's he's got a lot of Canova in him, and he's incredible. He's a performer, he's a musician, he's got a great band, and he moves like Ray Bolger. I mean, he always has. He's very tall and thin, and
nice.
And he can dance, and, So anyway, so I took him to this film festival, and as we walked in, they were playing, maybe it was Singing in the Corn, where it's the first thing that my son saw, and he'd seen films of my mom's before, but this I hadn't even seen in since I was a little kid, and it was my mom milking a cow while singing an aria.
That's so
and how many grandsons get to see that of their grandmothers? So he walked in, and it was just like mind-blowing, and the place was packed, and everybody was laughing, and it was really, really a great feeling. So we go and we sit down, and we're watching this movie, and he leans over to me, and he says, "Now I see why I am the way I am." I said, "Yep, I'm afraid so, kid."
That's great.
It was genetic.
It's genetic. It's all genetic, yeah. So, you sort of broke out on your own as well, and were you trying to make that happen, or did it happen accidentally? I
always, from the time I was a little kid, I just knew I would be either on the stage or doing something theatrically. I knew that's where my skill set.
In your blood.
Yeah. I just knew it. That's all I ever wanted to do, and I was lucky enough to be able to do it because not everybody is. And I had a really, really good run on TV, and I was able to star on Broadway a couple of times, which I write. I just wrote a play that I've been working on it. It's funny, for 20 years I would put it away, and finally somebody said, "You've got to take this piece out because it's really good." Blah blah blah. So I just did a staged reading of it locally here with wonderful actors, and I've been writing children's musicals because once there's a shelf life to comic actors on TV, especially after a while.
Yes.
Once you turn 40, especially when you're a woman, the shelf life goes away. And I had the choice of either staying in Hollywood and raising my kids there, which I really didn't want to do, and I kind of loved the East. So I was close enough to New York, I could work in New York. And my husband is from Brooklyn, he's a record producer, and so we just made our lives here.
Yeah, that's nice.
And it's, I consider my life has been very, very blessed, and even though, I haven't been on a TV series in, 20 years or something, it's okay. And I've made my life full of teaching because I've been teaching singing ever since I was 19 years old. That was something I always did. People didn't ever know that, but I love to teach, and I've been teaching voice for that long. And also I work with kids, and I've been, for the past 25 years since I've lived in Connecticut, I've been having a children's theater program at the local middle schools, and I direct the shows at the high school. And for me, that's like really great. I'm sure some people go, "Oh my God, you're not, starring in a film."
Yeah. No, that all sounds fantastic to me. And you're doing more and being more creative and being more yourself and helping others more than you would be if you were on one television show.
Well, you're right. You're right. I feel it makes my life very full. And I've had a couple of kids I've coached to Broadway, which is terrific.
Yeah.
And television, and then. Some have used it as a career path, and then others it's just really good for them. The thing about working with kids in theater is that there are kids that maybe their life isn't so hot. Maybe they don't have any self-esteem. Maybe their lives just aren't as wonderful as you wish they would be. So then they find the world of theater and the family of theater, and these kids become so bonded, and they learn a new skill. And one day they're being locked up, in their locker by a bully, and then the next day they're a rock star because the night before they went out and they sang and they danced and they acted and they were funny. And so to see that, it's like, I always, think of Hotel California. It's like you can check out, but you can never, ever leave. I wouldn't know how to stop doing that.
Yeah, that's nice.
On YouTube, I watched a nice video of the Dinah Shore show with you and your mom.
Oh, right.
And you talked about how much studying you did music-wise. What studying did you do?
I studied with Seth and Florence Riggs, who were the premium of voice coaches on the West Coast. I got a scholarship to study with Seth, and then he taught me the method, and that's when I started teaching. But I studied opera, actually. I was singing the classical repertoire for a while, but I also had a rock band. I always had music. I was always either performing with my band or I was recording. I didn't really want to go into opera, but I really, really loved musical theater, and so I started studying. I studied at LA City College because they had a wonderful acting academy. I had a scholarship, a full scholarship actually, for voice to go to Cal Arts, but I chose to go to LACC because I just fell in love with the department there. I had an incredible professor, Dr. Fred Martin, who was just the most wonderful acting teacher. I had wonderful directors there, Norman Menace, and just all of these wonderful people. And I was in a department where Cindy Williams had gone to school there, and Mark Hamill and Michael Lembeck, and it was a terrific place to learn theater. And I got my first agent while I was doing, I was playing Irene Malloy in Hello Dolly because I was a soprano, and Hal Gevsky, who was the head of APA, I guess they would troll for talent at City, and he signed me immediately, and that's how I got my first agent. So I was 19 years old.
Wow.
It's great that you did it on your own, even though you had a famous mom. That's really, really great for you.
Yes, I did. I mean, I used my mom. Well, my middle name is Canova anyway, so my full name was Diana-Canova Rivero because I had a dad from Cuba. But I just kind of used Mom's name as a little help, and as a tribute to her, and her legacy. That was her legacy to me, as well as
right. Well, it has a nice ring to it as well.
So. and it worked.
It worked, yeah. So, what did your mom think about it? I'm sure she was very proud while all of this was happening because she was still around.
Extremely. Yeah, no, she was always incredibly supportive.
It's so wonderful that you could have those kinds of triumphs when your mom's there to enjoy it with you.
Yeah, she was there for a lot of it.
My favorite is, I think you're on the Mike Douglas show maybe, right? With her. And you guys sang together, and oh my God, it was the most wonderful scene.
Yeah, we sang together on that and the Dinah Shore show.
And the Dinah Shore,
and the Dinah Shore show. And what's that like to sing on television with your mom?
It's the best. I mean, it's just the coolest.
You guys, I mean, I was watching it again recently on YouTube of the Mike Douglas, some of the Mike Douglas, and you look like you're having a ball singing.
Oh,
you just look like you are just, and it looked well rehearsed too.
Well, because we always sang together at home anyway, so just for the heck of it. And also, I was so fond of both. Well, obviously, I was fond of my mom, but I was so fond of Mike Douglas. He was always so good to me. I co-hosted with him so many times.
Drawback Cannonball. Judy and Judy Canova.
And Dinah Shore was the salt of the earth, man. She was a great lady.
Yeah, those are two sweet people, yeah.
So, I was able to work with really, really, really wonderful people.
So let's skip and tell me about the book by Bear Matter, the Ben Omar book, and then the audio book that you actually read. And I listened to it, and I thought to myself as I was listening, this is some of the best audiobook reading I've ever heard.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you.
And you're doing dialects and accents.
Well, it's because she's a professional voice actress as well.
That's right. When you're quoting somebody, you sound like a little like you become them,
Thank you.
It's really nice.
Yeah, that was it. It was an interesting process. My son and I actually did it together. He was my engineer.
Wow. Nice.
So it was a great way for us to spend some quality time together. It was a tough book to do only because there is so much content and, of explaining and who's who in every film, and, that took a while, but it was just a very interesting thing for me to do. And I won't even say cathartic because it wasn't. It was just fun. It was fun, and doing that kind of thing is fun for me. But it was a labor of love.
Yeah, that comes through, and I think that anyone who listens to it is going to just feel that really warm feeling in their gut, that you get when you know that somebody's enjoying themselves, and there's just that warm feeling.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
So, anything else you want to tell us about, like what else you're working on now, or anything you want to plug?
Hopefully, this play it's called "And I Always Will." It's called "And I Always Will," and it's a play I feel I'm very fond of it, and actually I acted in it myself, which was something I'm finally old enough to play the part of the lead, so I figured I would. And it's not about Alzheimer's, but that is a huge part of the piece. Uh-huh. So when we did it as a fundraiser for the Alzheimer's Association, and it got just incredible response. So that's my next little project to see how far I can take that piece. And I continue to work with kids. I have an improv troupe that is only high school kids that are local that I've brought along, and we've been doing it for about 8 years. It's called Troupe du Jour, and the kids raise money.
Nice. You made Lorie laugh.
It's
they make money. How do they make money?
We only perform for charity, and they've raised close to $40,000 over the past 8 years for all sorts of different charities. So that's really
a lot of money.
We meet every Friday night, and it's incredibly rewarding. I continue to teach privately. I continue to work with the kids doing shows. It makes me happy. I teach voice at Manhattanville College a couple of days a week.
Yeah.
My husband just started this past season. He started a baseball team because my younger son is a baseball player. He's a knuckleball pitcher, and he's an indie. He's in the independent leagues, and so our life it's full of music and baseball. Those are the two things that fill up my life.
Those are two nice things, though.
Well, Joe also has a podcast called The Voice Actor Show, and you've done some animation voiceover work, haven't you?
Yes, I did. I did a lot of work for Weston Woods, narration for videos of children's books, like the Miss Nelson series, The Island of Skog. I mean, I did a lot, and I love doing that type of work.
Yeah, it's loose, and you can do all kinds of different roles that way, too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. It was great meeting you guys.
Great meeting you. Bye-bye.
Okay,
have a good day.
Take care.
Have a good fun with the troupe tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You have been listening to an interview with Diana-Canova, conducted by Joe Bevilacqua and Lorie Kellogg on the Joe Bev Experience. If you'd like to write to us, email at info@waterlogwith2gs.com and become a fan of the Joe Bev Experience on Facebook. And if you can't get enough Joe Bev, you can always go to joebev.com. This is Walter Cockeyed, and that's the way it was.
Waterlog Productions. Are you sick of that smart aleck, Sherlock Holmes, always knowing all the answers? Well, if you are, you should check out The Misadventures of Sherlock Holmes. It is the best radio series about Sherlock Holmes you'll ever hear. It's based on the characters of Arthur Conan Doyle. But in this one, Sherlock's the dumb one, and Watson's the smart one.
Well, Mr. Holmes.
Well, what, Professor?
Come on, Mr. Holmes. It's time to cross swords.
Am I holding it correctly?
No. Put your forefinger there. That's it. No. Turn your wrist the other way.
Oh, like this?
Yeah, feet farther apart. Right. Extend your arm.
This is fun.
Now, come on, Mr. Holmes. Hey!
Watson! I'm about to be killed! Do something quick!
Yes, old fellow, of course.
Watson, what are you doing?
I'm writing this down. It's quite exciting. Moriarty plunges at Holmes with a force of 10. Holmes ducks the sweeping movement of Moriarty at his foul foil. Moriarty comes at him again. Holmes backs up.
Ouch!
Holmes bumps into a chair.
You should read my monograph on shins and their relation to furniture, Professor.
Perhaps I will sometime.
Hilarious! Comedy and mystery are happy bedfellows in The Misadventures of Sherlock Holmes. Award-winning veteran radio producer Joe Bevilacqua's 10-part radio series plays humorous homage to the classic characters of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. The stories are filled with sly references to the original canon. So check out The Misadventures of Sherlock Holmes at waterlog.com.
And now, a Bear Manor Radio blast from the past.
From Hollywood, the Judy-Canova Show, brought to you each week by the Colgate-Palmolive Feet Company, makers of Halo Shampoo to glorify your hair, and the new improved Super Suds for all-around easier wash days. The Judy-Canova Show with Mel Blanc, Ruby Dandridge, Joe Kearns, Ruth Parrott, the sportsman, Charles Dant and his orchestra, and starring Judy Canova.
Gee, it's all fine and dandy, sugar candy. When I've got you, then I only see the sunny side. Even trouble has its funny side. When you're gone, sugar candy, I get lonesome, I get so blue. When you're handy, it's fine and dandy, but when you're gone, what can I do? Gee, it's all fine and dandy, sugar candy, when I've got you. Then I only see the sunny side. Even trouble has its funny side. When you're gone, sugar candy, I get lonesome, I get so blue. When you're handy, it's fine and dandy, but when you're gone, what can I do?
Well, Judy is very excited today. She's anticipating a visit from two writers with American Life magazine who want to write the story of her life. At the moment, she's discussing the situation with Aunt Agatha.
Aunt Aggie, those writers will be here at 3. Just think, the life and loves of Judy Canova in a magazine.
Oh, Judy, they'll probably do your life story in cereal form.
Cereal? You mean like one of them breakfast foods?
Now, Judy, how could the story of your life and loves possibly be like a breakfast food?
Well, in some spots it sure was mushy. Did you ever park in back of the Palladium? Dark back there.
Oh, Judy. Judy, be truthful now. Have you ever had any real romances?
I sure have, Aunt Aggie. Why, I never will forget my old school teacher. Gee, but he was handsome and romantical. And one day he asked me to stay after school.
He asked you to stay after school? Did you do anything wrong?
Yeah, I didn't stay. Then there was the captain of our football team. After we won the championship, the girls all gave him a kiss, but I kissed him twice.
Twice? For what reason?
Golly, do you need a reason?
Judy, I imagine those writers would want to put some human interest into your life story.
Yeah, I figured they would, so I'm going to tell them about an unusual experience we had back on the farm.
Well, what was that?
Well, sir, one of our setting hens got off a nest of eggs and wouldn't set on them no more, so Ma made Pa set on them to keep them warm.
Well, what happened?
Don't ask me, but 2 days later, Pa was passing out cigars. Yes, sir. Gosh, Aunt Aggie, I'm going to have to get together a lot of material for the story of my life. Hello, Geranium. Hello, what are you laughing at?
Miss Judy, if they ever wrote the story of my life and my loves, it sure would be an expensive book.
An expensive book? How come?
Honey, they'd have to equip every book with a fire extinguisher.
Well, Geranium, well, I guess we all fall in love. They say we need love like the flowers need the raindrops.
That's right, Miss Judy.
Geranium, have you been in love very often?
Often. Little raindrop, you're talking to a cloudburst.
Tell me something, Geranium. Is your boyfriend Pomeroy still as romantical as ever?
Oh, he sure is, Miss Judy. Why, last night we were on the love scene, he said, "Come here, little apple turnover. Let me sample the frosting."
Oh, golly. Ooh, when he talks like that, do you get all nervous and quivery?
Yeah. Honey, I feel like I'm walking barefooted in a tub of jello.
Yes, sir. Geranium, when Pomeroy is with you, how does he pitch woo?
He kisses my hand, Miss Judy.
Your hand? Well, golly, that ain't any way to pitch woo.
Honey, those are only the practice pitches before the big game.
Judy, if you're expecting those magazine writers, you'd better make yourself as glamorous as possible. Are you going to wear your new dress with the long skirt length?
No, Aunt Aggie, I like the old skirts better. They're healthier.
Short skirts are healthy? What makes you say that?
They keep men out in the open and improve their eyesight. Why, only yesterday I was walking into the artist entrance at NBC in my knee-length sports skirt when Ronald Coleman came up to me, and in that beautiful Oxford accent of his, he said,
"Pardon me for talking in your face, Senorita."
Oh, hello, Pedro. Say, what are you looking so mad about?
Well, Senorita, I feel cranky today. I got up on the wrong side of the bed.
You got up on the wrong side of bed?
See? And I fell 3 stories out of the window.
Golly, Pedro, you ought to be careful. I'm afraid you're getting absent-minded.
I know. Last night at dinner, I poured ketchup on my shoes and tied knots in my spaghetti.
Pedro, have you got all your work done in the garden?
See, Senorita, I even sprayed all the vegetables with alcohol.
But you were supposed to use insect spray. Why did you use alcohol?
Well, you told me you wanted some pickled beets and stewed tomatoes.
Oh, Pedro, you don't seem to know much about raising vegetables.
Oh, yes, I do, Senorita. I used to be a file clerk in a pickle factory.
A file clerk? What did you do?
I filed the warts off the cucumber. Well, I will go now, Senorita. Hasta la vista.
You're hot as a pistol, too, Pedro.
Oh, Judy, the 2 writers are here to see you.
Thanks, Aunt Aggie. Howdy, fellers.
Good afternoon, Miss Canova. Miss Canova, we thought it would be impossible to write your story without seeing you face to face.
Well, now that you've seen my face, what do you think?
It's more impossible than we thought. Miss Canova, what title would you like us to give the story of your life and loves?
Well, you might call it Merci Beaucoup. That's French, you know.
Merci Beaucoup? What does that mean?
When I part with my beau in a coupe, he hollers for mercy. Say, tell me, do you think the story of my life really will interest people?
Well, if it's handled right, it might even make you appear immortal.
Well, it better not. I'll have you know I've lived a good, clean life.
Canova, that's
yes, I have
not
every
what we
day of
meant.
it, Bud.
How could you be so stupid?
Well, it ain't easy. When you ain't got no brains, you have to do it the hard way. Yes, sir. You talk about me. Are you fellas sure you know how to write?
Well, of course. We dramatized the life story of Priscilla Alden for the radio.
Priscilla Alden? Who was she?
Who was she? Why, she was the woman who came over on the Mayflower. To begin with, she got engaged to the second mate, then she got engaged to the first mate, and finally she married the captain.
Oh, boy, that's what I call Pilgrim's Progress.
Miss Canova, Priscilla Alden didn't make progress.
Well, she had better luck than I've had.
Miss Canova, she was a fine woman. Day after day, she sat home alone, spinning and spinning and spinning.
Couldn't stand up straight, huh? And she should have laid off that stuff.
Miss Canova, she was spinning flax. This woman was a homemaker.
Well, I'll bet she didn't make it home that night.
The woman I'm referring to didn't have to make it home.
Whether she made it at home or not, she got it some way.
Miss Canova, we're not concerned with the way you think she got it. As a matter of fact, nothing of that kind ever touched her lips.
Drank it through a straw, huh?
No. Miss Canova, what are you, a dope, an nincompoop, a moron, or an idiot?
Back up. I'm in there somewhere.
Miss Canova, unfortunately, we can't leave. We're forced to carry out this assignment and write your life story. But confidentially, you're just about 2 steps from a jackass.
Well, pull in your ears, put a saddle on, and we'll go for a ride.
Super Suds, lots more suds from Super Suds.
Yes, floods of extra suds from great new improved Super Suds. Just one package of this new post-war model package soap can make 35,700 times its own volume in suds. Enough suds to fill a freight car. Richer suds for whiter washes and no need for bleach. Thicker suds, so much easier on hands and on bright colors. Harder working suds to rid those dirty duds of the greasiest grime faster, with much less rubbing, even on extra dirty spots. Yes, all over the country, more and more women are reaching for that big blue box of Colgate-Palmolive Pete's great new improved Super Suds for cleaner, sweeter-smelling washes, for all-round, easier wash days.
Extra suds with Super Dew from the Super Suds that's new.
Now back to Judy Canova singing about the long, long train with Annie Canova at the piano in The Little Red Caboose.
I went down to the depot just to meet the 1202. He wrote me he'd be on it, but the train went right on through. Woo-wee, hear that whistle say. It takes a long, long train with a red caboose to carry my blues away. The engineer was waving as the train went down the track. I felt so heavy-hearted that I couldn't wave it back. Ooh, yeah, hear that whistle say. It takes a long, long train with a red caboose to carry my blues away. I listen to that lonesome whistle, listen to that mournful bell. The echo says, love you so, and my heart says
Well, the two writers from American Life magazine are interviewing Judy to get the story of her life. So far, they haven't had much progress.
Oh, Miss Canova, everything you've told us so far is very confusing.
Well, why don't you let me write up my own story? I've done written up lots of stories before already without no help from everybody.
But, Miss Canova, we use proper English. We know grammar from the ground up.
Well, so do I. My grammar's just as ground up as anybody's.
No, we'll write the story. You tell it to us in your own words. Now, what about your school days?
Well, I spent my school days getting educated. You don't believe it, huh?
Did you live in Los Angeles and go to USC?
No, I lived in Cactus Junction and went to BS for HB.
BS for HB?
Yeah, backward school for hopeless boneheads. Dolly, I never will forget them days. It seems like only yesterday when the principal came into the schoolroom and called the class to order.
Attention, pupils. Class is now in session. Homer Houseman, what's the matter with you? Stop that bawling.
I can't help it. Judy Canova just took a bite out of my apple.
Well, that shouldn't make you cry.
But it was my Adam's apple.
Pupils, today I'm going to give you a little quiz. Judy Canova.
Yes, Mr. Prince Pugh?
Judy, where is the capital of the United States?
It's over in Europe on Lend-Lease. They think the least we can do is lend it to them, you know.
No, Judy. The site of the capital of the United States is where?
Let me see now.
Judy, where is the seat of the Congress?
Well, if they don't know, somebody ought to tell them.
Judy, here's a hint. Where does the President of the United States spend most of his time?
Accompanying Margaret on the piano?
No, Judy.
You mean he ain't good enough?
No, Judy.
Ain't got a union card.
Judy, I'll give you another broad hint. The capital city of the United States is Wash. Now, what goes with Wash?
Superside. Everybody knows that.
Judy, don't you want to pass this test?
Yeah, let's pass this test and go on to the next one. Golly, I hope we have recess soon. I ain't doing so good. And that'll give you fellas an idea of my school days.
Well, Miss Canova, you're getting the cart before the horse in your story. You haven't even told us where you were born.
Well, I was born in Cactus Junction in the Cedars of Cactus Junction Hospital. Ma told me all about it.
Oh, your mother did?
Yeah, you see, she happened to be there at the time. Yes, sir. Ma told me all about that day in the hospital. I had just been born when Pa walked into Ma's room and he said, he said...
Hello, Ma.
Howdy, Pa. Look, it's here.
What is it, Ma?
It's a baby.
That's what I was hoping we'd have.
It's a girl, and we're going to name her Judy.
And she's the prettiest young'un we ever had, Ma. But she's sure got a long nose.
Pa, you're looking at the stork. The baby's over here. Underneath the mattress.
gosh, we got 10 young'uns already, Ma. What's a stork hanging around for?
He's just resting, Pa. He's plumb wore out. The baby's got pretty eyes, Pa.
Yeah, Ma. He sure has.
Which do you like best? The blue one or the brown? Pa, when I get home, you'll have to help me with the baby.
Oh, gosh, Ma. I don't know nothing about taking care of no baby.
And you got to learn the way I done, Pa. Just start at the bottom.
Just think, Ma. Someday Judy will be a growed-up girl and have a feller a-courting her.
Yeah, Pa. I wonder what she'll be like when she grows up and falls in love. Pa, our Judy is 16-year-old today.
Ma, have you told Judy about the birds and bees yet?
Yes, I did, Pa.
Did she understand the story about the birds and bees?
I think so, Pa. She got so tooken by it, she ain't interested in boys no more. Hey, look, Pa, here comes Judy's dumb boyfriend, Lucy, a-courting her again. Howdy, Luke.
Howdy, folks. Say, did you hear the all right.
Get away, you talk on, boy.
What's all the fuss about?
Well, something terrible happened. That Hatfield boy come by my place and he started shooting at me, but I kept right on a-doing what I was a-doing.
What was you doing?
Run.
Hey, Lukey, who's doing the milking over to your place these days?
I am. Gosh, I sure am fond of our cow. She don't give much milk, but she's a good cow.
Well, if she don't give much milk, she ain't no good cow.
Well, she is a good cow. If she's got any milk, boy, she'll give it to you.
Oh, you're a good boy, Lukey. You can go into the room courting Judy now.
Oh, thank you, Mom. By dingy dongies, I sure do love that there girl. She's good.
It's getting late, Pa. You and me better do the chores. I'll slop the hogs and you can feed that old rattlebrain goat. And that, gentlemen, is the story of my life. What do you think of it?
Well, Miss Canova, it's a little unusual, but it has possibilities.
Gee, I sure hope so, but I had an awful, terrible dream about it last night.
A terrible dream?
Yeah. I dreamt that my story was chosen by the Book of the Month Club and that I sold it to MGM and got a check for $100,000.
Well, what's so terrible about that?
I woke up before I could cash the check.
Use Halo shampoo if you want naturally bright and beautiful hair. Remember, even finest soaps and soap shampoos hide the natural luster of your hair with dulling soap film. But Halo contains no soap, therefore cannot leave dulling soap film. The first time you use Halo, your hair glistens in all its natural brilliance. The natural color and luster shine through like sunshine through a clean window pane. And remember, even in hardest water, Halo makes oceans of rich, fragrant lather. Halo quickly carries away loose dandruff and grease. Needs no lemon or vinegar rinse because Halo leaves no dulling soap film. Nothing to hide your hair's natural beauty. Say hello to Halo and goodbye to dulling soap film. Use Halo on your children's hair, too. Get Halo shampoo at any cosmetic counter. Remember, Halo glorifies your hair.
So Halo, everybody, Halo. Halo shampoo, Halo.
Now back to Judy Canova and the Sportsman singing about an apple blossom wedding.
We saw an apple blossom wedding underneath the Maytime blue, and at that apple blossom wedding, I fell in love with you. We realized where we were heading, booked a little church, and then we planned an apple blossom wedding. When spring came round again, so I waited for the flowers, dreaming of a wedding ring, but I only found the showers. You took away the spring. I saw an apple blossom wedding from the balcony above. You had your apple blossom wedding. I lost my apple blossom love.
Judy will be back in a moment. This is Howard Petrie asking you to use Halo shampoo to glorify your hair and the new improved Super Suds for all-around easier wash days. Now, here's Judy.
Thank you, Howard. Folks, it was awfully nice being with you tonight, and I hope we'll all be together again next Saturday night. In the meantime, please don't forget the two products that bring us together each week, Halo shampoo and Super Suds, the bestest in the world. This is Judy Canova from Hollywood singing, go to sleepy little baby, go to sleepy little baby. When you wake your patty, patty cake, ride a shiny little pony. Daddy's coming home to baby, Daddy's coming home to baby. Stop your crying, Daddy will be buying you a shiny little pony.
The Judy Canova Show is written by Fred Fox and Henry Hoople with John Ward and is produced and directed by Joe Ryan.
Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth. No other toothpaste does a better job of cleaning teeth. For Colgate cleans teeth thoroughly, safely, brings out natural sparkle and beauty. And scientific tests prove conclusively that in 7 out of 10 cases, Colgate Dental Cream instantly stops unpleasing breath that originates in the mouth. So always use Colgate Dental Cream after you eat and before every date to clean your breath while you clean your teeth.
Listen in next week and find out what happens when Judy Canova is offered a screen test.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
You have just heard a Bear Manor Radio blast from the past. Check out all the great books and audio at bearmanormedia.com.